In a Memphis courtroom, Evelyn Carter, 52 and white, shakes as her smug grin fades. Tasha Reynolds, 36, black and suited sharp, drops the bomb. She's a CIA agent. It started with Evelyn's racist 911 call at a gas pump, labeling Tasha a thug. Cops beat her bloody, but this half-win hides a brutal unraveling. Evelyn's life will crumble, and Tasha's will teeter on the edge. How did one call ignite such chaos? Before we dive in, let us know where you're watching from, and if you stand for justice, hit like and subscribe because tomorrow's explosive episode is unmissable. The Memphis sun blazed down on a cracked asphalt lot, turning the air into a thick soup of heat and gasoline fumes. It was a sticky July afternoon in 2025, and Tasha Reynolds, 36, pulled her rented silver sedan up to pump number 6 at a bustling gas station off Beale Street. She stepped out, her navy blazer crisp despite the 98-degree swelter, her low heels clicking with purpose against the pavement. Tasha was no stranger to pressure, a high-flying CIA operative masquerading as a logistics manager for this mission. Her target, a human trafficking ring funneling women through Tennessee's backroads. She popped the gas cap, her sharp brown eyes flicking to her burner phone as she tapped out an encrypted update to her handler. The screen glowed with coordinates for a sting set to go down in 12 hours, her fingers moving fast, her mind already 3 steps ahead. She didn't notice the pearl-white SUV rolling in 2 pumps over, or the woman inside clutching her purse like it was a lifeline. Evelyn Carter, 52, squinted through her tinted windshield, her platinum bob stiff with hairspray, her lips pursed into a thin line. She'd lived her whole life in a gated enclave on the city's edge, a bubble of manicured lawns and whispered gossip over iced tea. Today, she'd ventured into Memphis proper to pick up a prescription, a rare break from her routine of bridge, games and garden club meetings. The gas station hummed with life, a tattooed trucker hauling diesel cans, a teenage cashier mopping sweat from his brow, a trio of kids laughing as they raced bikes across the lot. Evelyn's gaze landed on Tasha, and her stomach tightened. That black woman in the blazer standing so tall, so sure, her phone gripped like a weapon, it didn't sit right. Evelyn muttered under her breath, "What's she doing here? Probably up to no good." Her father's voice echoed in her skull, a retired deputy who'd drilled into her since childhood that certain people couldn't be trusted. She fumbled her phone from her quilted purse, her manicured nails trembling as she dialed 911. The operator's voice crackled through, calm and clipped. 911, what's your emergency? Evelyn leaned into the call, her tone hushed but urgent. I'm at the gas station on Beale, and there's this suspicious black woman here. Tall, mid-30s, navy blazer, black pants. She's scoping the place, typing on her phone like she's planning something. I swear I saw a bulge under her jacket. A gun, maybe. She's a thug, I just know it. You've got to send someone quick. She hung up, her pulse racing, a smug flicker, crossing her face as she adjusted her rearview mirror to keep Tasha in sight. She didn't know Tasha's bulge was a CIA-issued Glock 22, legally holstered, or that her typing was a lifeline to Langley. To Evelyn, Tasha was a threat, plain and simple, and she'd just lit the match. 3 miles away, officers, Dale Pruitt and Hank Voss, slouched in their patrol car, sipping lukewarm coffee from styrofoam cups. Pruitt, 48, with a buzz cut and a gut spilling over his belt, grinned as the dispatch call buzzed through. Suspicious black female armed Beale Street gas station? Sounds like fun. Voss, 39, lean and wiry with a permanent sneer, nodded, cracking his knuckles. Let's teach her a lesson. Probably some gangbanger's girl. They'd grown up in the same rural county as Evelyn, shared her father's old-school views, and wore their badges like a license to flex power. The cruiser peeled out, sirens blaring, tires chewing gravel as they sped toward the scene, their radios spitting static and their minds already made up. Tasha topped off her tank, oblivious to the storm brewing. She slipped her phone into her pocket, the sting details locked in, and reached for her wallet. The air shifted as the patrol car screeched into the lot, red and blue lights slicing through the haze. Pruitt lumbered out first, his hand resting on his holster, his voice booming. "You hands up now." Tasha froze, her training kicking in, her heartbeat steady even as confusion flickered in her chest. Voss flanked her, his eyes glinting with menace. "Don't move, thug. We gotta call you're armed and dangerous." Tasha raised her hands slow and deliberate, her voice cool as ice. "Officers, I'm no threat. I've got ID in my jacket, legal permit for my firearm, check." "It." Pruitt snorted, stepping closer, his breath sour with coffee and contempt. "We'll see about that." Evelyn watched from her SUV, her window cracked, her phone now recording the showdown. She smirked as Voss yanked Tasha's arm, twisting it behind her back while Pruitt ripped the Glock from its holster. "Look at this, Hank. She's packing. Heat. Told you she's trouble." Tasha kept her tone even, her training holding her steady. "That's registered. Standard issue. I'm a federal agent, CIA. My badge is in my left pocket." Pruitt's meaty hand dug into her jacket, pulling out the leather wallet with her credentials. He flipped it open, saw the holographic seal, the photo, the serial number, and laughed, a guttural sound that made Tasha's skin crawl. "Nice try, sweetheart. Fake as hell." He tossed it to the ground, stomping it into the dirt, his boot. Grinding the truth under heel. Voss tightened his grip, slamming Tasha against her car, the metal denting under her weight. "You don't talk back to us, got it?" Tasha's ribs ached as she sucked in a breath, her mind racing for an exit. "Call Langley. Verify me. This is a mistake." Pruitt smirked, pulling his baton from his belt. "Only mistakes yours. Coming here." The first blow landed hard across her shoulder, a sickening thud echoing over the lot. Tasha grunted, her knees buckling, but she stayed upright, her jaw clenched. Voss swung next, cracking the baton against her side, a sharp snap signaling ribs giving way. Pain exploded through her chest, blood trickling from her lip as she bit back a scream. Evelyn's camera caught it all, her smugness growing with every strike, oblivious to the fire she'd just stoked. The trucker by Pump 3 turned away, muttering about cops being cops. The cashier peeked out, then ducked back inside, too scared to intervene. Tasha's world narrowed to the rhythm of the blows, Pruitt and Voss taking turns, their grunts mingling with her stifled gasps. Pruitt aimed for her knee, the baton whistling through the air, but Tasha twisted just enough to take it on her thigh, a bruise blooming instantly. "Stay down, you piece of trash," Voss spat, his boot slamming into her shin. She crumpled, her blazer tearing at the seam, her phone skittering across the asphalt. Blood smeared her cheek, her vision blurring, but her mind clung to one thought: survive this, expose them. Evelyn lowered her phone, satisfied, as Pruitt cuffed Tasha's wrists, the metal biting into her skin. "That's what you get," he growled, hauling her up by the collar. Voss kicked her Glock under the car, smirking at Evelyn through her windshield. "Good call, lady. We'll take it from here." Tasha's head lolled, pain searing through her cracked ribs, but she locked eyes with Evelyn for a split second, memorizing that face, that smug curl of lips. She'd been in tighter spots overseas, faced worse odds, but this was personal. Now, the cops dragged her to the cruiser, tossing her into the back seat like a sack of garbage, her blood staining the vinyl. Evelyn started her engine, a thrill buzzing in her veins, convinced she'd saved the day. The cruiser roared off, sirens wailing, leaving the gas station lot quieter but heavier with unspoken rage. Tasha slumped against the door, her breath shallow, her body screaming, but her mind was a steel trap. She'd get out, she'd fight back, she'd make them pay. Pruitt and Voss traded chuckles up front, oblivious to the credentials they'd trashed, blind to the storm they'd unleashed. Evelyn pulled onto Beale Street, her prescription forgotten, her chest puffed with righteous pride. She didn't know Tasha's name, didn't know her mission, didn't know the CIA was already tracking her signal. All she saw was a thug put in her place, and that was enough. But it wasn't over, not by a long shot. The spark had ignited and the flames were about to swallow them all. Tasha Reynolds slumped in the back seat of the patrol car, her cracked ribs grinding with every jolt of the Memphis streets. Blood crusted her split lip, her blazer hung in tatters, and her left eye swelled shut from Pruitt's baton. The cruiser reeked of stale sweat and cheap cologne, a fitting cage for officers Dale Pruitt and Hank Voss, who smirked up front like they'd just bagged a trophy. Tasha's mind churned despite the pain, replaying the gas station ambush, Evelyn's smug face behind that phone, the way Pruitt had stomped her CIA badge into the dirt. She'd faced warlords in Kabul, cartels in Juarez, but this was a different beast, raw and personal, a hatred she couldn't shoot her way out of. The car lurched into the Memphis police station lot, gravel crunching under tires, and Pruitt hauled her out, his grip bruising her arm as he shoved her toward the gray brick building. Inside, the station buzzed with late afternoon chaos. Phones ringing, a drunk slurring curses in a corner, a desk sergeant barking orders. Tasha stumbled into a holding cell, the steel door clanging shut behind her. Her wrist still cuffed tight enough to numb her fingers. Blood dripped onto the concrete floor, a stark red smear against the grime, and she leaned against the wall, sucking in shallow breaths. "I need a phone call," she rasped, her voice steady despite the fire in her chest. Voss loomed outside the bars, his sneer twisting his lean face. "You don't get shit, thug. Sit tight." Tasha locked eyes, with him unblinking. "Check my ID in your system. Tasha Reynolds, CIA, you're holding a federal agent." Pruitt chuckled, leaning against the cell frame, his gut jiggling. "That fake-ass badge, we ain't buying it." A rookie cop, barely 22, hovered nearby, his freckled face pale as he clutched a clipboard. He'd seen Pruitt toss Tasha's credentials, but something nagged at him, the way she held herself, the calm in her storm. Sarge, maybe we should run her name," he mumbled, shifting on his feet. Pruitt glared, but the rookie scurried to a terminal, typing with shaky fingers. Tasha watched, her pulse thudding, knowing Langley's database would light up like a Christmas tree. Minutes ticked by, the cell's fluorescent buzz drilling into her skull, until the rookie's eyes widened. "Holy crap, she's legit. CIA, active status, flagged for priority." Pruitt's smirk faltered, Voss's sneer froze, and Tasha straightened, ignoring the stab in her ribs. "Told you, let me out now." The desk sergeant, a grizzled vet with a buzz cut, stormed over, snatching the printout from the rookie. He scanned it, his jaw tightening, then muttered, "Son of a bitch." He unlocked the cell, his voice gruff but clipped. "Miss Reynolds, we're sorry about this. Misunderstanding. You're free to go." Tasha stepped out, her legs wobbling, but her spine rigid, snagging her torn blazer from a chair. "Misunderstanding? You beat me half to death. I'll be filing a report." Pruitt's face reddened, but he stayed silent as she limped toward the exit, her burner phone retrieved. From evidence, her Glock still missing. She dialed her handler, her voice low. "It's me, got jumped by locals, need extraction." The line crackled with a curt reply. "Sit tight, team's inbound." Tasha exhaled, stepping into the humid dusk, thinking she'd dodged the worst. She was wrong. Across town, Evelyn Carter sipped a gin and tonic in her pristine suburban kitchen, the ice clinking against crystal as she scrolled her phone. The video of Tasha's beating looped on her screen, shaky footage of batons cracking bone, and she smiled, a tight, satisfied curl of lips. She'd already texted her bridge group. "Caught a thug red-handed today, cops handled it." Her phone buzzed with replies, thumbs-up emojis and one, "Good for you, Evie." She basked in it, the glow of righteousness warming her chest. Then it hit her. Tasha had walked out of that station, not in a body bag, but on her own 2 feet. Evelyn's glass paused mid-air, her pulse spiking. "No way!" she hissed, slamming it down, gin sloshing onto the marble counter. She grabbed her phone again, dialing Pruitt, her voice a venomous whisper when he picked up. "Dale, that black. Woman's out, she threatened me, said she'd come after me. You've got to do something." Pruitt, parked outside a dive bar with Voss, grinned into the receiver, his buzz cut glinting under a street lamp. "Threatened you, huh? Don't worry, Evie, we'll fix it." He hung up, nodding to Voss, who cracked his knuckles with a gleam in his eye. "She's CIA, but that don't mean squat to us. Let's bury her." They peeled out, tracking Tasha's path from the station, their cruiser a predator in the twilight. Tasha, meanwhile, leaned against a bus stop bench 2 blocks away, her ribs screaming, her burner phone pinging with a CIA update. "Team 30 minutes out." She scanned the street, her training keeping her sharp, but the pain dulled her edges. Headlights flared and the cruiser screeched up, Pruitt and Voss leaping out like wolves on a scent. Tasha bolted upright, adrenaline surging, but Pruitt's taser hit first, twin prongs sinking into her chest. Electricity ripped through her, her muscles seizing, her body crumpling to the pavement in a twitching heap. "Threatening a civilian, huh?" Pruitt snarled, looming over her, his baton raised. Voss kicked her in the stomach, her cracked ribs splintering further, a wet gasp tearing from her throat. "How don't scare us, fed or not?" he spat, grinding his boot into her hand, bones crunching under the pressure. Tasha's vision swam, her world a haze of agony, but she caught Pruitt rifling through her car, pulling a baggie of white powder from his own pocket. He tossed it onto her lap, smirking. "Look what we found, Hank, drug runner clear as day." Voss laughed, a sharp barking sound as he yanked her up, slamming her against the cruiser's hood, her face smacking metal. Blood poured from her nose, pooling on the dented steel, her blazer now a shredded rag. Pruitt cuffed her again, tighter. This time, the metal cutting into her wrists until skin peeled back. "Back to the cage, thug," he growled, shoving her into the back seat. Voss climbed in front, radioing dispatch with a grin. "Caught a dealer resisting arrest, bringing her in." Tasha's head lolled, consciousness slipping, but her mind clung to fragments. Evelyn's call, the planted drugs, the setup. She walked out free, tasted victory for a fleeting moment, only to be dragged back into hell worse than before. Pruitt floored the gas, the cruiser roaring toward the station, while Voss texted Evelyn, "Handled, she's done." Evelyn read it, her gin-soaked grin returning, oblivious to the monster she'd unleashed. Back at the station, Tasha hit the cell floor hard, her body a broken mess, blood streaking the concrete. The rookie cop gaped, his clipboard trembling, but Pruitt's glare silenced him. "She resisted, kid, write it up." Tasha's burner buzzed in evidence, her handler's voice lost in static. "Tasha, where are you?" She couldn't answer, her breath a rattle, her ribs a cage of fire. She'd thought her CIA status would save her, thought release was the end. Now, framed and beaten unconscious, she was a ghost in their system, and the real fight was just beginning. What kind of justice lets a woman walk free only to chain her tighter? Comment number 1 if you think Tasha deserves a shot at payback. Hit like if this corruption boils your blood, and subscribe because this story's about to explode. Can Tasha claw her way out, or will Evelyn's lies bury her deeper? Stick around to find out. Tasha Reynolds woke to a throbbing skull and the sour stench of bleach and urine. Her body sprawled on a cot in a Shelby County jail cell. The concrete walls pressed in, streaked with grime, the air thick with the moans of a junkie detoxing too. Cells down. Her ribs screamed with every shallow breath, cracked and splintered from Pruitt and Voss's batons, her wrists raw where cuffs had bitten deep. Blood crusted her nose, her blazer a shredded memory, replaced by an orange jumpsuit that hung loose on her battered frame. The planted drugs sat heavy in her mind, a baggie of lies pinning her here, her CIA cover teetering on the edge. She forced herself upright, wincing as pain lanced through her side, her swollen eye barely cracking open. A fluorescent bulb flickered overhead, casting jagged shadows, and she gripped the cot's edge, her training kicking in. Survive, adapt, fight. Footsteps echoed down the hall, heavy and deliberate, and a guard loomed into view, his badge glinting. Officer Rawls, mid-40s, broad-shouldered, with a salt-and-pepper beard. He paused, his dark eyes flicking over her. Bruises, a flicker of something. Pity, maybe, crossing his face. "Reynolds, right?" His voice was low, gruff, but not hostile. Tasha nodded, her throat dry as sandpaper. "I need a phone. Federal agent, detained wrongfully. Check my file." Rawls hesitated, glancing at the camera bolted to the ceiling, its red light blinking. "Pruitt says you're a dealer. Drugs in your car." Tasha's jaw tightened, her voice a rasp. "Planted. I'm CIA. Call Langley. Verify me." Rawls rubbed his neck, then slid a burner phone through the bars, his whisper barely audible. "Make it quick, they're watching." Tasha snatched it, her fingers trembling as she punched in her handler's secure line. The call connected, static, crackling before a clipped voice answered. "Reynolds, where the hell are you?" She kept it tight, her words sharp. Shelby County Jail, framed by locals, beaten bad, drugs planted. Need extraction now. The handler cursed, his tone all business. Hang on, we're rerouting a team. 2 hours tops, stay alive. The line cut, and Tasha slid the phone back to Rawls, who pocketed it with a nod. You're a ghost till they get here, he muttered, then walked off, his boots fading into the jail's hum. Tasha leaned back, her chest easing for the first time in hours. Help was coming, she'd walk out again. She'd bury Pruitt and Voss. She didn't see the storm brewing beyond the bars. 10 miles away, Evelyn Carter perched on a bar stool at the Rusty Anchor, a dive off Poplar Avenue where neon buzzed and peanut shells crunched underfoot. Her gin and tonic sweated in her hand, her platinum bob catching the dim light as she bragged to a cluster of regulars. I saw that black thug at the gas station, knew she was trouble. Cops took her down hard, taught her a lesson. Her voice carried shrill with pride, her cheeks flushed from her third drink. A grizzled biker nodded, grunting approval, while a waitress in a stained apron rolled her eyes but kept pouring. Evelyn didn't notice the barfly in the corner, a wiry man with a buzz cut and a swastika tattoo peeking from his sleeve, texting under the table. She didn't know Pruitt was on the line with him, his voice a low growl. She's in county, Evie's pissed, she's still breathing. Send your boys, make it messy. The barfly Jimmy Ray grinned, his teeth yellowed from chew and fired. Off a message to his crew. Black fed in Shelby Jail, Pruitt's orders. Let's string her up. Outside, engines roared as 4 pickup trucks peeled out, Confederate flags flapping from tailgates, a white supremacist gang itching for blood. Back at the jail, Tasha paced her cell, her ribs a dull roar, her mind on the sting she'd miss if extraction lagged. The clock above the guard station ticked past 8, the night shift settling in, Rawls nowhere in sight. Then the air shifted, a distant rumble growing louder, tires screeching in the lot. Shouts erupted, boots pounding, and the cell block door burst open, 5 men in hoodies storming in, reeking of beer and hate. Jimmy Ray led the pack, his eyes wild, a rope coiled in his fist. There she is, boys, the fed bitch Pruitt wants gone. Tasha snapped upright, her body protesting but her instincts razor-sharp. The gang fanned out, crowbars and shivs glinting, their slurs a guttural chant, "You don't belong here, trash." A skinny kid with a buzz cut smashed a crowbar against the bars, the clang ringing in her ears, while another, thick-necked and bald, lunged at the lock with bolt cutters. Tasha scanned the cell. No weapons, no exit, just a rusted sink and a cot. She ripped the metal frame loose, wielding it like a club, her breath ragged. "Back off now," she snarled, her voice cutting through their jeers. The lock snapped, the door swung wide, and Jimmy Ray charged, rope swinging. Tasha ducked, slamming the cot frame into his gut, doubling him over with a wheeze. The bald one came next, shiv slashing, and she sidestepped, cracking the frame across. His skull, blood spraying as he dropped. The others froze, stunned by her speed, but the skinny kid roared, swinging his crowbar. It caught her shoulder, a jolt of fire ripping through her, and she stumbled, the cot clattering away. They piled. On fists and boots raining down, her ribs cracking anew, her vision blurring as a shiv grazed her thigh, slicing flesh. "String her up!" Jimmy Ray bellowed, yanking the rope tight around her neck, the coarse fibers burning her skin. Tasha thrashed, her training a lifeline, her elbow smashing Jimmy Ray's nose, cartilage crunching, blood gushing. He howled, loosening the rope, and she rolled free, gasping, her lungs clawing for air. Alarms blared, red lights flashing, and Rawls burst in with 2 guards, batons swinging. "Get back, you animals!" Rawls roared, cracking the skinny kid's arm. Bone snapping like dry wood. The gang scattered, dragging their wounded Jimmy Ray, spitting curses as they fled into the night. Tasha slumped against the wall, blood pooling under her, the rope still dangling from her neck. Rawls knelt, his face grim. "You okay, Reynolds?" She nodded barely, her voice a croak. "They knew I was here, leak," Rawls cursed, helping her to the cot, her leg oozing red, her shoulder a throbbing mess. "Pruitt's got reach. I'll lock this place down." Tasha's head spun, the CIA team still an hour out. Her cover blown to whoever tipped the gang. She'd survived, clung to that glimmer of rescue, but the jail wasn't safe, the system wasn't safe. Evelyn's call had spiraled beyond the gas station, beyond Pruitt's fists, into a web of hate that wouldn't quit. Across town, Evelyn finished her gin, oblivious to the chaos she'd fueled, her phone buzzing with Pruitt's update. Gang hit her. She's still alive. We'll get her next time. Evelyn smirked, pouring another drink, blind to the blood on her hands. The jail settled into an uneasy quiet, guards pacing, the junkie's moans the only sound. Tasha gripped the cot, her body a wreck, her mind racing. The gang's attack wasn't random. Pruitt's prints were all over it, and Evelyn's voice lingered in the shadows. She'd thought extraction would end this, thought surviving the cell would be enough. Now, with supremacists hunting her, the stakes had tripled, the danger clawing deeper. Her handler's words echoed, "Stay alive." She would. But at what cost? The system had turned, and it wasn't letting go. Tasha Reynolds lay on a gurney in a Memphis hospital ward, the sterile stink of antiseptic stinging her nose, her body a roadmap of pain. Her ribs, cracked and splintered, throbbed under tight bandages, her thigh stitched where a shiv had torn. Flesh, her shoulder a purpled mess from a crowbar's kiss. An IV dripped into her arm, the beep of a monitor punctuating the haze, her swollen eye cracked open just enough to catch the clock. 11 at night, July heat still pressing against the windows. The jail attack lingered in her bones. The ropes burned raw on her neck, but she'd survived, clung to the CIA's promise of rescue. A nurse, young and harried, adjusted her chart, muttering, "You're lucky to be breathing." Tasha's lips twitched, a ghost of a smirk. Luck had nothing to do with it. The ward door swung open, and 3 figures in black tactical gear stormed in, their boots silent on the tile, CIA badges glinting under fluorescent glare. Her handler, Marcus, 45, grizzled with a buzz cut, led the pack, his voice a low growl. "Reynolds, we're pulling you out now." Tasha nodded, wincing as she sat up, the team unhooking her IV with practiced speed. "Pruitt's crew framed me. Gang hit the jail." "Cover's shaky," she rasped, her throat sandpaper dry. Marcus handed her a burner phone, his eyes hard. "We know. You're a ghost till we sort this. Sting's still on, but you're sidelined." They hustled her into a wheelchair, then a black SUV waiting in the ambulance bay, tires squealing as they peeled into the night. Tasha exhaled, her chest loosening. Extraction meant safety, a chance to strike back. The Safehouse sat 5 miles east, a squat brick box tucked behind a gas station off Interstate 40. Tasha slumped in a folding chair, her bandages stark against her skin, the team rigging laptops, and comms around her. Marcus crouched beside her, sliding a recorder into her hand. "Pruitt and Voss, we've got eyes on 'em. Nail 'em." Tasha nodded, dialing a secure line patched to Pruitt's cell, her voice cold as steel. "This is Reynolds. You beat me, framed me, sent your dogs. I've got your badge numbers, your records. Turn yourselves in or I bury you." Pruitt's laugh crackled through, thick with scorn. "You're done, thug. Keep dreaming." She hit record, catching his slur-laced rant, his admission of the planted drugs the gang hit. "Gotcha," she muttered, ending the call, the audio a ticking bomb. Marcus grinned, uploading the file to Langley. "That's gold. Feds'll have 'em in cuffs by dawn." Tasha leaned back, her ribs aching but her spirit flaring. She'd turned the tide, flipped their game, her evidence a blade to their throats. The team buzzed, plotting arrests, and she closed her eyes, tasting victory, fragile but real. Across town, Evelyn Carter paced her suburban living room, her Victorian house a cocoon of lace curtains and polished oak. Her gin glass sat empty on a coaster, her phone glowing with Pruitt's text. "She's out, making noise. Fix this." Evelyn's pulse raced, her smugness curdling into rage. Tasha, alive, fighting back, it gnawed at her, a splinter under her nail. She'd handled that thug, watched her bleed, and now this? Evelyn stormed to her late husband's study, yanking open a drawer stuffed with old contacts. Her fingers landed on a card. Ricky, tech guy, discreet. She'd met him at a country club mixer, a weaselly 30-something with a ponytail and a knack for dirty jobs. She dialed, her voice a hiss. "Ricky, it's Evelyn Carter. I need a favor, cash up front. There's this black woman, Tasha Reynolds, making trouble. Dig up her life, twist it, splash it online. Make her a terrorist, a criminal, whatever sticks. Ricky's drawl oozed through. $5,000, I'll bury her by morning. Evelyn wired the money, her chest tight with glee, imagining Tasha's ruin. She didn't know Ricky's dig would tap CIA fronts, didn't care, as long as that thug paid. By 2 a.m, Ricky delivered. Tasha's face flooded dark web forums, then X. A doctored profile screaming lies. Tasha Reynolds, ex-con, terrorist ties, drug kingpin, cop hater. Photos morphed her jail mugshot with fake bombs, her name tied to non-existent crimes. Evelyn scrolled it on her laptop. Gin refilled, her grin feral. That'll shut her up, she muttered, sipping deep, the ice clinking like applause. Back at the Safehouse, Tasha slept fitfully on a cot, the team's chatter a dull hum, her burner buzzing with Marcus's update. Pruitt's toast, feds moving. She drifted off, thinking she'd won, the recording her shield, the CIA her fortress. Then the night shattered. A roar split the air, a fireball erupting through the Safehouse wall, glass and brick raining like shrapnel. Tasha jolted awake, her cot flipping, her ribs screaming as she hit the floor. Flames licked the ceiling, smoke choking her lungs, the blast's heat searing her skin. "Ambush!" Marcus yelled, dragging her up, blood streaming from a gash on his scalp. The team scrambled, guns drawn, but a second explosion rocked the lot, the SUV blooming into a molten wreck. Tasha stumbled to her feet, her leg buckling, and saw him. Agent Lopez, 28, her spotter, sprawled in the rubble, his chest caved in, eyes blank, dead. Her stomach lurched, grief clawing her throat, but Marcus yanked her toward a back. Exit, bullets pinging off metal. Outside, a mob loomed, 20 strong, torches flaring, faces twisted with hate. Ricky's hack had spread, ex-posts screaming, "Kill the terrorist," fueling their rage. They'd tracked the Safehouse, Molotovs in hand, a pickup blaring a horn like a war cry. Tasha ducked a flying bottle, glass shattering at her feet, her bandages soaked with sweat and blood. "Move!" Marcus roared, firing into the crowd, 2 dropping with guttural screams. Tasha limped after him, her vision swimming, Lopez's death a weight crushing her chest. They hit a drainage ditch, crouching low as the mob torched the building, flames swallowing her gear, her evidence, her hope. Sirens wailed in the distance. Too late, the night a furnace of chaos. Evelyn slept through it, her gin glass tipped on the carpet, her laptop glowing with Ricky's lies. She'd escalated from a call to cyber war, from batons to bombs, her paranoia birthing murder. Tasha crouched in the ditch, her breath ragged, Marcus panting beside her. "They knew where we were," she rasped, her voice a blade. "That woman, Evelyn, she's behind this." Marcus nodded, his face grim. "We'll regroup, hit back." Tasha's hands shook, Lopez's blood on her mind, the mob's chants echoing in her ears. She'd had Pruitt dead to rights, thought the CIA's pull would end it. Now, with a dead agent and a burned-out husk behind her, the glimmer of victory was ash, snuffed out by a hate she couldn't outrun. Did Tasha deserve this for fighting back, or is Evelyn the real monster here? Comment number 1 if you think Tasha's resilience deserves a win, hit like if this mob's brutality shocks you, and subscribe because this roller coaster's just heating up. Who's pulling the strings behind this firestorm, and can Tasha rise from the ashes? Stay tuned. The next twist will leave you speechless. Tasha Reynolds crouched in a ditch, her lungs burning with smoke, her bandages soaked in sweat and blood as the Safehouse blazed behind her. The Memphis night pulsed with heat, the mob's torches flickering like demons in the dark, their chants of terrorist fading as sirens wailed closer. Agent Marcus dragged her deeper into the underbrush, thorns snagging her jumpsuit, his scalp gash dripping red down his neck. Lopez's death clawed at her gut, his lifeless stare etched in her mind, but she shoved it down, her training a steel cage around her grief. "We're exposed," she rasped, her ribs grinding with every word. Marcus nodded, his voice a low growl. "New Safehouse rural. Moving now." They stumbled to a backup van stashed a quarter-mile off, the engine rumbling alive as they peeled into the Tennessee backroads, headlights off, the fire's glow shrinking in the rear view. The new Safehouse squatted 30 miles south, a weathered farmhouse ringed by cornfields, its peeling paint glowing under a sliver of moon. Tasha slumped in a creaky chair, her thigh throbbing where stitches held, her shoulder a dull roar of pain. Marcus rallied a fresh CIA team, 5 agents in tack gear, their faces grim as they patched comms and reloaded Glocks. "Pruitt and Voss are done," Marcus said, slamming a laptop shut. "Recordings with the feds, suspensions pending, we've got 'em." Tasha's lips twitched, a flicker of triumph cutting through her haze. She'd flipped the script, turned their brutality into a noose, and now the law would choke them. A medic patched her up, fresh bandages stark against her bruised skin, and she gripped a coffee mug, the bitter brew steadying her hands. "Good," she muttered, her voice raw. "Let's end this." Marcus dialed Langley, his tone clipped. "Suspensions confirmed, arrest tomorrow. Tasha's safe, stings back on." The team buzzed, plotting Pruitt's takedown, and Tasha exhaled, her ribs aching but her spirit clawing back. She'd survived the jail, the mob, Lopez's loss, and now the cops were cornered. She leaned against the wall, the farmhouse's musty air grounding her, thinking she'd wrested control from the chaos. Across Memphis, Evelyn Carter paced her Victorian living room, her gin glass shattered on the floor, her phone buzzing with Ricky's update. "Mob torched her spot. She's gone." Evelyn's pulse hammered, her smugness replaced by a gnawing fury. Tasha wasn't dead, wasn't broken, and that stung deeper than the gin's burn. She needed her gone, erased, a threat she couldn't stomach. Evelyn stormed to her kitchen, yanking a burner phone from a drawer, her nails clicking as she texted Jimmy Ray, the gang leader with the swastika ink. "She's still out there, Dale's slipping. Finish her." Jimmy Ray grinned in his truck, parked off a dirt road, his crew licking wounds from the jail flop. "Got it, lady, she's meat." He rallied his boys, 6 now, their pickups roaring. As they brainstormed, Evelyn wasn't done though, her paranoia a live wire. She dug deeper, pulling a favor from a country club crony with a shady past. "I need dirt, real dirt," she hissed into the phone. And by dawn, Ricky the hacker delivered again. Fake footage of Tasha shooting a cop, grainy but viral, plastered across X with captions screaming, "Cop killer fed." Evelyn smirked, sipping coffee, her chest puffed. That'll do it. The footage hit like a match to dry grass, X erupting with outrage, local news picking it up. "Unidentified woman wanted." Tasha's face, bruised and fierce, flashed on screens, her CIA cover shredded by lies. Jimmy Ray's gang tracked whispers to the farmhouse, but Evelyn's move went bigger. The video pinged a Memphis precinct, and Pruitt, still free on bail, leaned on a crooked captain with a taste for power. "She's a killer, Cap, SWAT her ass." The captain, sweating in his office, greenlit it, no questions, the fake footage enough. By noon, a SWAT team rolled out, 12 men in black, rifles cocked, a chopper buzzing overhead, zeroed on the farmhouse. Tasha, inside, sipped her coffee, oblivious, her team prepping for Pruitt's arrest, the Sting's clock ticking down. The chopper's thrum hit first, a low growl shaking the corn, then boots crunched gravel. A bullhorn blaring, "This is Memphis SWAT, come out, hands up." Tasha dropped her mug, ceramic shattering, her ribs flaring as she dove for cover. Marcus cursed, grabbing his Glock, the team scrambling to windows. "What the hell?" he barked, peering out as armored figures fanned across the yard, red dots, dancing on the walls. Tasha's mind raced, the fake video a ghost she hadn't seen coming. "They think I'm a cop killer," she hissed, her voice a blade. Bullets punched through wood, glass exploding inward, and Agent Carter, 32, wiry with a scar on his cheek, took a round to the chest, blood blooming as he crumpled. "No!" Tasha yelled, dragging him behind a couch, his gasps wet and fading. Marcus fired back, popping 2 SWAT guys in the legs, their screams piercing the chaos, but the team was pinned, outgunned. Tasha ripped a rifle from Carter's limp hands, her shoulder screaming, and returned fire, her shots precise, clipping a 3rd SWAT leg. "We're CIA," Marcus roared into a radio, but static drowned him out, the captain's orders absolute. A flashbang rolled in, blinding white, the blast slamming Tasha's ears, her world tilting. She crawled, ribs grinding, Carter's blood slick on her palms. his pulse gone when she checked. Another agent, Kim, 29, blonde and fierce, caught shrapnel in the neck, gurgling as she fell, her Glock skittering away. Tasha's chest caved 2 down, the trap tightening like a noose. SWAT breached, boots stomping, and a rifle butt cracked Marcus's skull, dropping him cold. Tasha lunged, tackling a SWAT guy, her fists pounding his visor, but a second grabbed her, slamming her into a wall, plaster cracking. "Cop killer!" he spat, zip-tying her wrists, her ribs shrieking as they dragged her out. The farmhouse. Burned, smoke billowing. Kim and Carter's bodies lost in the haze. Outside, the chopper hovered, blades chopping air, and Tasha hit the dirt, her face grinding into mud, blood streaming from a fresh gash on her brow. She'd had Pruitt and Voss suspended, thought the CIA's might would hold. But Evelyn's lie had turned the system against her, a SWAT raid burying her alive. Evelyn watched it unfold on a news live stream, her coffee cooling, her grin wide, as the chopper's feed showed Tasha face down, cuffed, the farmhouse a pyre. "Got her," she muttered, texting Pruitt. "SWAT nailed it, she's finished." Pruitt, holed up in a motel, grinned back. "Good work, Evie." Tasha, sprawled in the mud, her team shattered, felt the weight of betrayal, Evelyn's shadow, stretching longer than she'd imagined. The sting, the mission, her fight, all torched in one viral lie. She'd outsmarted the cops, rallied her people, only to be crushed by a machine she couldn't outrun. The trap had snapped shut, and the real hell was just beginning. Tasha Reynolds slumped in a Memphis courthouse holding cell, her body a wreck of bruises and bandages, her orange jumpsuit stained with mud and blood. The SWAT raid's echoes lingered, the farmhouse pyre a fresh scar, Carter and Kim's deaths, a weight crushing her chest. Her ribs throbbed, splintered and taped, her thigh stitches itching under the fabric, her brow gash crusted over. Zip ties had left her wrists raw, her swollen eye barely open, but her mind burned, replaying Evelyn's viral lie, Pruitt's sneer, the chopper's roar. The cell's steel bench dug into her spine, the air thick with stale coffee and desperation. A single bulb buzzing overhead. She'd hit bottom, framed as a cop killer. Her CIA team gutted, yet her training held, a steel thread in the chaos. Survive, strike back. Footsteps clacked outside, and a guard, wiry with a grey mustache, slid a burner phone through the bars. 5 minutes, Reynolds. Make it count. Tasha snatched it, her fingers trembling, dialing Marcus's secure line. He answered, groggy, his skull still ringing from the SWAT blow. "Tasha, you alive?" She kept it tight, her voice a rasp. "Barely. Courthouse holding. Fake charges. They hit us hard, Marcus, Carter and Kim are gone." He cursed, his breath sharp. "I'm out, got a concussion. Feds have Pruitt's recording, suspension's stuck, but that video's screwing us. I've got a journalist, leak the truth." Tasha nodded, her ribs flaring. "Do it. Burn 'em." The line cut, and she tossed the phone back, her pulse thudding, a flicker of hope igniting. Marcus, holed up in a motel 6 miles off, patched through to Lila Hayes, a 32-year-old reporter with a buzz cut and a nose for corruption. She met him in a diner, neon flickering, her laptop open as he slid her the SWAT footage, Pruitt's rant and Ricky's hack logs. "This is dynamite," Lila muttered, her fingers flying, uploading it to X with a headline, "Memphis cops frame CIA agent, viral lie exposed." By noon, the post exploded, 10,000 shares, outrage boiling over, hashtags like "Justice for Tasha," trending. News vans swarmed the courthouse, protesters chanting outside, their signs screaming, "End racial lies." Tasha, shackled in her cell, didn't hear it, but she felt the shift, the tide turning, her evidence a battering ram against the wall. Evelyn Carter watched it unravel from her Victorian living room, her gin glass trembling, the TV blaring Lila's report. Her name flashed on screen, tied to the 911 call, the hacker, the mob, her smug grin replaced by a slack-jawed panic. "No, no, this can't be," she hissed, her platinum bob quivering as she dialed Pruitt, free on bail in his motel. "Dive. Dale, they've got us. That reporter's ruining everything." Pruitt's voice rasped back, thick with beer. "Calm down, Evie. She's still locked up. We'll fix it." He hung up, his buzz cut glinting as he grabbed a burner, texting, "A jail contact. Take her out tonight." Evelyn paced, her pulse a drumbeat, her world teetering, but she didn't see Pruitt's next move, didn't know he'd already crossed her. By dusk, Tasha faced a prelim hearing, her wrists cuffed. Her jumpsuit swapped for a borrowed suit from a CIA lawyer, a wiry 40-year-old named Gregson. The courtroom hummed, a dozen reporters scribbling. The judge, a stern black woman with silver hair, Judge Ellis. Gregson argued fast, his voice sharp. "Your Honor, my client's a CIA agent, framed by officers Pruitt and Voss, evidence planted. SWAT misled by a doctored video. We've got proof." He slid Lila's leak across the bench, Pruitt's recording booming through speakers, his slurs and admissions raw. The prosecutor, a sweaty 40-something in a cheap tie, fumbled, "We're investigating," but the crowd gasped, Judge Ellis's gavel banging for order. "Bail denied for now, but I'm expediting this," she snapped, her eyes flicking. To Tasha, a glint of respect there. Tasha exhaled, her ribs aching, thinking she'd cracked the cage, the feds closing in, Pruitt and Voss dangling. She shuffled back to holding, Gregson whispering, "We've got 'em, Tasha. Hang on." The cell door clanged shut, and she leaned against the wall, her swollen eye throbbing, the chance outside a distant hum. She'd flipped it, turned their lies into a spotlight, and justice felt close, her breaking point bending toward a win. Then the trap snapped shut. Pruitt in his motel grinned as his jail mole, a beefy guard named Tucker, texted back, "Got a plan. She's done." He'd slipped $100 to a skinhead inmate, a lifer with a swastika tat, whispering, "Shank the black fed, make it quick." 9 miles away, Pruitt's real play unfolded. He dialed a burner, his voice low. "Yeah, it's me, her sister Maya Reynolds, Fisk University dorms. Grab her, leverage." 2 of Jimmy Ray's crew, hulking in hoodies, roared off in a pickup, tires chewing Nashville pavement. By 10, they kicked in Maya's door, a 19-year-old freshman in pigtails, her scream cut short as they gagged her, zip-tying her wrists. They dragged her to a warehouse off the Cumberland River, a concrete tomb stinking of oil and rot. Pruitt patched a video through to Tasha's jail burner, slipped by Tucker mid-shift. The screen glowed, Maya's wide eyes brimming, blood trickling. From her nose, a thug's fist hovering. Pruitt's voice purred, "Surrender or she's dead." Tasha's cell lit up, the burner buzzing, and she snatched it, her heart seizing as Maya's face filled the screen. "No," she choked, her ribs forgotten, her knees buckling. The thug yanked Maya's hair, her muffled cry a dagger in Tasha's gut, Pruitt's laugh crackling through. "You're done, Fed. Give up, or she's pulp." The feed cut, darkness swallowing her sister, and Tasha sank to the floor, the phone, clattering, her world imploding. She'd had the crowd, the judge, the feds thought she'd broken their grip, but Pruitt's move gutted her, personal, brutal, a blade to her soul. Tears stung her swollen eye, her fists clenching, rage and despair warring in her chest. Maya, her baby sister, her anchor, now bait in their game. Evelyn, oblivious, refreshed ex, Lila's posts burying her deeper, her name a curse in the comments. She hurled her gin glass, shards skittering across oak, her panic spiking as Pruitt's text hit, "Sister's ours, she'll break." Evelyn grinned, a twisted relief, blind to his double-cross, her vendetta a monster she couldn't leash. Tasha gripped the cell bars, her breath ragged, Maya's face burned into her skull. The feds were close, the truth was out. But Pruitt had her heart in his fist and the breaking point snapped. She'd fight, she'd claw, but at what cost? Public fury couldn't save Maya, and the trap was tighter than ever. Should Tasha sacrifice everything for her sister, or is Pruitt's cruelty beyond redemption? Comment number 1 if you'd risk it all for family, hit like if this twist rips your heart out, and subscribe because this saga's diving deeper. Can Tasha outsmart a devil, holding her sister's life, or will this be her final fall? The next chapter's a storm you won't see coming. Tasha Reynolds sat hunched in her Memphis courthouse holding cell, the burner phone's blank screen a void, where Maya's terrified face had been moments ago. Her cracked ribs pulsed with every breath, her thigh stitches tight under her borrowed suit, her swollen eye throbbing, but none of it matched the vice squeezing her heart. Pruitt's video replayed in her skull. Maya, 19, gagged, bloodied, a thug's fist poised to strike. His voice a venomous purr, "Surrender or she's dead," echoed, shredding her resolve. The cell's steel bars loomed, the air stale, with sweat and despair. But Tasha's training snapped her upright, her mind a furnace of rage and focus. She'd lost Carter, Kim, her safe house, but Maya, her baby sister, was a line they'd crossed and she'd burn them for it. The guard with the grey mustache slipped by, his shift ending, and Tasha whispered, "I need out, now. Family emergency." He hesitated, his mustache twitching, then slid her a key fob nabbed from evidence, her car impounded nearby. "You didn't get this from me," he muttered, vanishing into the hall. Tasha gripped the fob, her pulse hammering, and waited for the night shift's shuffle. At 1 a.m, the cell block quieted, a drunk snore's the only sound, and she slipped the key into the lock, the door creaking open. She limped out, ribs grinding, her suit jacket torn, a hidden blade from her shoe in hand, a CIA trick. She'd kept close. The courthouse hummed with skeleton crew chatter, but she dodged cameras, her training a ghost in the shadows, and hit the impound lot, her silver sedan waiting under a flickering lamp. Tasha floored it to Nashville, 90 miles east, the highway a blur of headlights and heat, her burner buzzing with Pruitt's taunt. Warehouse, Cumberland River, 2 hours, alone. She traced the river's bend, her mind mapping the spot, an abandoned concrete shell stinking of oil and rot. She parked a half-mile off, the night thick with cricket hum, and crept closer, her blade tucked, her ribs a dull roar. The warehouse loomed, its rusted doors ajar, Maya's muffled whimpers leaking out. 2 of Jimmy Ray's crew guarded it, hulking in hoodies, one chewing tobacco, spitting brown into the dirt, the other pacing with a shotgun. Tasha crouched behind a stack of crates, her breath shallow, her plan a tightrope. Trade herself, then flip it. She stepped out, hands raised, her voice steady. "I'm here, let her go." The tobacco chewer grinned, yellow teeth glinting, and waved her in, shotgun guy prodding her back. Inside, Maya knelt on the oil-slick floor, pigtails matted, blood streaking her cheek, zip ties cutting her wrists. Tasha's stomach lurched, but she locked eyes with her sister, a silent promise flashing between them. Pruitt emerged from the shadows, his buzz cut catching a bulb's glare, his gut straining his shirt. "Smart move, Fed," he sneered, nodding. To the thugs. "Cut the girl loose, we've got the big fish." The shotgun guy sliced Maya's ties, shoving her toward the door, and Tasha exhaled, her chest easing as Maya stumbled free, tears streaking her face. Then Tasha moved, her blade, flashing, slashing Pruitt's arm, blood spraying as he howled. She spun, kicking the tobacco chewer's knee, a wet crunch dropping him, his spit flying. Shotgun guy swung, but she ducked, driving her blade into his thigh, twisting until he screamed, the gun clattering. Pruitt lunged, his meaty fist clipping, her jaw stars bursting in her vision. But she rolled, slamming her elbow into his gut, doubling him over. "You're done," she spat, snagging his burner, her ribs shrieking as she hauled him down, zip-tying his wrists with his own stash. Maya bolted to the sedan, engine rumbling, and Tasha dragged Pruitt out, tossing him in the trunk, her breath ragged, her body a live wire. She'd flipped it, saved Maya, outsmarted the bastard, or so she thought. Evelyn Carter, holed up in her Victorian living room, refreshed ex, her gin glass sweating, Lila's leaks burying her deeper. Pruitt's text hit. "Got her sister, she's coming." Evelyn grinned, a twisted thrill, but it curdled when his line went dead, her pulse spiking. She dialed Ricky, her voice a hiss. "She's loose, Pruitt's botched it, end her." Ricky, in a basement lair of screens and pizza boxes, cracked his knuckles, his ponytail swaying. 10 grand. I'll blow her sky high." Evelyn wired. Her chest tight, her vendetta a beast she couldn't cage. Ricky tracked Tasha's sedan via Pruitt's burner, a signal pinging off towers, and rigged a car bomb, a crude mix of fertilizer and nails, planting it under her hood at a gas stop. She'd hit en route. Tasha sped back toward Memphis, Maya trembling beside her, her pigtails limp, her voice a whisper. "Tash, I thought I'd die." Tasha gripped the wheel, her jaw tight. "You're safe now, kid. We're ending this." The sedan hummed, the river fading behind, her ribs a dull ache, Pruitt's grunts muffled in the trunk. She'd turned the tables, her blade a lifeline, her sister alive, and the feds would have Pruitt by dawn. Then the world erupted. A blast tore through the car, metal screeching, flames swallowing the hood, the dashboard exploding inward. Tasha swerved, tires squealing, the sedan spinning into a ditch, glass raining as Maya screamed, her arm shredded by shrapnel, blood pooling. Fast? Tasha's ears rang, her face burned, skin peeling from the heat, her ribs flaring as she kicked the door open. She dragged Maya out, her sister's cries a knife in her gut, blood soaking her suit, nails embedded in Maya's flesh. "Stay with me," Tasha yelled, ripping her jacket to tourniquet Maya's arm, her hands shaking, her vision blurring. Pruitt's trunk popped, his bulk tumbling out, dazed but alive, crawling into the dark. Tasha sank beside Maya, her sister's pulse weak, her own body a furnace of pain, burns blistering her cheek. Headlights flared, a trucker stopping, his voice a distant shout. "I'm calling 911!" Tasha cradled Maya, her tears mixing with blood, the sedan a smoldering wreck. Evelyn slept, her gin glass tipped, oblivious to Ricky's text. "Bomb hit. She's toast." She'd escalated from calls to blades to bombs, her hate a wildfire, blind to Maya's blood, Tasha's burns. Tasha rocked her sister, sirens wailing closer, her voice a broken chant. "Hold on, Maya, hold on." She'd outsmarted Pruitt, freed her kin, tasted victory for a fleeting breath, only to have it ripped away, nails and fire shredding her world. The trucker loomed, his phone glowing. Paramedics, minutes out, but Tasha's eyes locked on Maya's fading ones. Her heart, a drumbeat of dread. She'd fought, flipped the game, but Evelyn's shadow struck harder and the cost was unbearable. Tasha Reynolds sat in a wheelchair in a Nashville federal courthouse, her body a patchwork of burns and bandages, her face blistered from the car bomb, her ribs a cage of pain under a borrowed blazer. Maya rested in a hospital bed 90 miles away, her arm shredded by shrapnel but alive, her pulse steady after surgery. Tasha's swollen eye twitched, her thigh stitches pulling, but her jaw was iron, her mind a furnace stoked by Pruitt's taunt, Evelyn's bomb, and the blood on her hands. The courtroom buzzed, a sea of suits and cameras, the air thick with anticipation, as Judge Harold Tate, a 60-year-old with a bald dome and steely gaze, banged his gavel. Tasha gripped the chair's arms, her burns stinging, ready to bury her. Tormentors. Her CIA lawyer, Gregson, stood tall, his wiry frame taut, his voice slicing through the hum. "Your Honor, Tasha Reynolds, CIA operative, was framed by officers Dale Pruitt and Hank Voss. We've got their recorded confession, gang ties, and a viral lie that sparked a SWAT raid killing 2 agents. They're in custody, and we demand justice." He slid a tablet across the bench, Pruitt's slurs booming, planted the drugs, sent the boys raw and damning. The prosecutor, a pinched 40-something with a comb-over, stammered, "We concede the recording's authenticity," as gasps rippled through the gallery. Tasha's chest flared, not from pain but pride, her evidence a sledgehammer cracking their lies. Judge Tate leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "Officers Pruitt and Voss, you're remanded, no bail, trial in 2 weeks." The gavel slammed, cuffs clicked, and Pruitt's buzz cut gleamed as he glared at Tasha, his gut jiggling in orange. Voss sneered, his lean frame rigid. But they were hauled out, the crowd erupting, reporters scribbling, X lighting up with "Gahan, Tasha wins." Gregson squeezed her shoulder, his whisper fierce. "We've got 'em, Tasha. You're clear." She nodded, her burns itching, her spirit surging. The tide had shifted. The feds had Pruitt. The truth had broken free, and she'd clawed victory from the ashes. Maya was safe. The sting could resume, and Evelyn's shadow felt distant, a ghost she'd soon banish. Evelyn Carter watched it crumble from her Victorian living room, her gin glass trembling, the TV blaring the courthouse feed. Her platinum. Bob quivered as Pruitt's cuffs flashed. Her name tied to the bomb, the mob, the lies, Lila's leaks, a noose tightening. No, this isn't happening," she hissed, hurling her remote plastic cracking against oak. Her phone buzzed, Ricky's text. "They've got Pruitt, I'm out." Panic clawed her chest, her smugness a memory, and she dialed her country club crony, a retired colonel with a dark web streak. "I need leverage now," she spat, and he delivered. Tasha's CIA mission file snatched from a hacked server detailing the trafficking sting. Evelyn grinned, feral, uploading it to X with a burner account. CIA agent Tasha Reynolds, trafficking. Mole exposed. The post hit at dusk, X erupting, 10,000 shares in an hour, the trafficking ring's ears perking up. Tasha, wheeled to a CIA van post-hearing, her blazer crisp despite the burns, didn't see it coming. Marcus met her, his scalp gash scabbed, his voice low. "Pruitt's down, Sting's greenlit, you're sidelined, heal up." She nodded, her ribs easing, thinking she'd won, the courtroom a fortress, her sister's breath a lifeline. The van rolled to a new Safehouse, a brick bunker 10 miles north, her team prepping gear, the Sting's clock ticking. She slumped on a cot, her burns stinging, her mind on Maya, the tide finally hers. Then the trap sprang. The trafficking ring, a cartel with tendrils from Memphis to Mexico, saw Evelyn's leak. Their boss, a wiry 50-year-old named Salazar, spitting orders in a Juarez hideout. "She's the Fed screwing us. Grab her gut." "Her?" 3 enforcers, hulking in black, roared into Tennessee, their SUV chewing asphalt, AKs stashed in the trunk. By midnight, they hit the Safehouse, a flashbang shattering the quiet, glass exploding as Tasha jolted awake, her ribs flaring. "Breach!" Marcus yelled, his Glock drawn, but the enforcers stormed in, boots stomping, one cracking Marcus's jaw with a rifle butt, dropping him cold. Tasha rolled off the cot, her burns screaming, snagging a knife from her boot, but a meaty hand yanked her hair, slamming her face into the floor, blood pooling from her nose. The lead enforcer, a scarred brute with a buzz cut, loomed over her, his voice a growl. "You're the Fed bitch, huh?" Salazar says hi. He zip-tied her wrists, her burns blistering under the plastic, and dragged her out, the team scrambling. But outgunned, 2 agents catching slugs in the chest, blood spraying as they fell. Tasha thrashed, her knife slashing air, but a boot crushed her hand, bones crunching, the blade skittering away. They tossed her into the SUV, tires squealing, the Safehouse a bloodbath behind her. Her ribs shrieked, her face a mask of blood. And burns, but her mind raced, piecing it. Evelyn's leak, the sting exposed, the cartel's wrath. She'd had Pruitt Voss the courtroom, thought the tide was hers only to drown in a deeper hell. The SUV roared south, a rural Mississippi shack their target, a tin-roofed hole stinking of mold and diesel. Tasha hit the dirt floor, her wrists bound, her burns searing as they ripped her blazer, exposing raw skin. Salazar loomed via video feed, his eyes cold. "You cost me millions, Fed. Scream for me." The scarred brute grinned, plugging in a cattle prod, its buzz a promise of agony. He jabbed it into her side, electricity ripping through her, her ribs convulsing, a scream tearing free despite her clenched jaw. Her vision blurred, her burns blistering anew, but she spat blood, her voice a rasp. "You'll pay." He laughed. Jabbing again, her body arching, the shack a furnace of torment. Evelyn refreshed X, her gin glass refilled, the leak's fallout a twisted glee. "She's gone now," she muttered, blind to the cartel's move, her vendetta a beast devouring. "All?" Tasha writhed, the prod's jolt fading, her mind clinging to Maya, the sting, the fight. She'd crushed Pruitt, won the court, thought the tide had turned, but Evelyn's shadow struck global, her CIA cover a death sentence. The enforcers loomed, their AKs glinting, Salazar's voice a hiss. "Break her slow." Tasha's chest heaved, her burns a fire, her spirit a ember in the dark. She'd flipped the game only to be dragged under, the trap of vice she couldn't break. Is Tasha's fight worth this price, or has Evelyn's hate gone too far? Comment number 1 if you think Tasha's grit deserves a comeback. Hit like if this cartel twist chills your spine. And subscribe because this saga's spiraling wilder. What's left for Tasha when the world turns against her, and can she claw out of this abyss? The next drop's a shocker you won't predict. Tasha Reynolds writhed on the dirt floor of a rural Mississippi shack, her body a furnace of pain, her burns blistering under the zip ties cutting her wrists. The cattle prod's buzz faded, its last jolt leaving her ribs convulsing, her blazer shredded, blood and sweat pooling beneath her. The scarred enforcer loomed, his buzz cut glinting under a bare bulb, his grin a slash of malice as he tossed the prod aside. Two others flanked him, hulking in black, AKs slung over shoulders, their boots scuffing the mouldy planks. Salazar's face glowered from a laptop screen, his wiry frame taut in Juarez, his voice a hiss. "You're done, Fed. Bleed for me." Tasha spat blood, her swollen eye twitching, her thigh stitches splitting, but her mind clung to steel, her training. A lifeline. She'd escape. She'd end them. The shack stank of diesel and rot, its tin roof rattling in the night wind, a single window cracked open to the swamp beyond. Tasha scanned it, her breath ragged, her ribs a dull roar, plotting through the haze. The scarred brute grabbed a knife, its blade rusted but sharp, and crouched, slicing her blazer's last threads, exposing raw burns. "Scream again," he growled, pressing the tip to her side, blood welling as she bit her lip, stifling a gasp. Her hands flexed, testing the zip ties, her training whispering, "Wait, strike." The second enforcer, a squat man with a lazy eye, rummaged a crate pulling a pistol, a Beretta tossing it to the third, a lanky kid with a jittery grin. "Finish her slow," he muttered, turning to piss out the window. Tasha seized it, her moment, her edge. She rolled, her bound hands snagging, the Beretta midair, her burns screaming as she twisted, firing twice. The scarred brute's chest bloomed red, his knife clattering as he crumpled, a gurgle in his throat. The squat man spun, AK rising, but she popped his knee, bone shattering, his scream a wet howl as he hit the dirt. The lanky kid froze, his grin gone, and she fired again, his shoulder exploding, the AK skittering away. Salazar's laptop tipped, his curses crackling. "Kill her, you idiots." Tasha staggered up, her leg buckling, her ribs grinding, and snapped the zip ties on a crate's jagged edge, blood slicking her wrists as plastic gave way. She grabbed the AK, her burns afire, and limped to the laptop, smashing it with the stock, Salazar's face vanishing in a spray of sparks. The squat man crawled, his knee a ruin, clawing for his gun, but she kicked it away, her boot cracking his jaw, teeth scattering like dice. "Stay down," she rasped, her voice a blade, and bolted for the window, diving through, glass slicing. Her arms the swamp's mud swallowing her fall. She ran, her leg a limp, her ribs a bellows, the shack's chaos fading as cicadas screamed. The SUV loomed 100 yards off, keys dangling in the ignition, and she floored it, tires chewing dirt, her breath a rattle, her mind alight. Alert the CIA, end this. The radio buzzed, her burner lost in the shack, but she patched a signal through the SUV's comms, her voice hoarse. "Marcus, it's Tasha. Cartel hit Mississippi Shack 3 down, Sting's blown, they've got me." Static crackled, then Marcus's growl. "Alive? Christ, we're tracking you. Sting's compromised, feds moving on the base." She swerved, onto a back road, headlights off. The swamp a blur, her burns searing, her leg oozing blood. She'd flipped it, killed her captors, thought she'd clawed free, her team closing in. Then the sky roared, a drone's hum splitting the night, its shadow a predator overhead. Evelyn's next strike, bigger, deadlier, a beast she'd birthed. From spite, Evelyn Carter, holed up in a Memphis motel, her Victorian abandoned, refreshed ex, her gin glass empty, Ricky's text glowing, "She's out, Cartel's pissed." Her platinum bob quivered, her pulse a drumbeat, her vendetta a wildfire. She'd leaked Tasha's mission, thought the cartel would end her, but Tasha's escape stung, a splinter in her pride. She dialed a new number, a burner from her crony. Senator Lyle Grayson, 62, a silver-haired hawk with a taste for power and a Rolodex of filth. "Lyle, it's Evelyn. She's loose, a Fed ruining me. Stop her." Grayson, in his DC penthouse, sipped scotch, his voice silk. 10 grand, she's a threat to national security. Done. He greenlit a drone strike, a Reaper from a Tennessee base. No questions. Tasha's cop killer lie his excuse. The drone locked on, its thermal picking Tasha's SUV, a grey dot tearing through the pines. She floored it, her leg a limp, her burns a furnace, the road a tunnel of green, thinking she'd made it. Marcus's voice a lifeline. Then the missile screamed, a white hot streak, and the world flipped. The blast tore the SUV apart, metal shredding, flames swallowing the cab, the shockwave hurling her through the windshield. She hit the dirt 50 feet off, her leg twisting, bone snapping, her burns blistering anew, blood pouring from her thigh where shrapnel lodged. The wreckage smoked, a crater swallowing her ride, the drone circling, its hum a taunt. Tasha crawled, her ribs a bellows, her leg a ruin, mud caking her face, her breath a wheeze. She dragged herself to a ditch, her hands clawing roots, her vision swimming, the drone's red eye scanning. It missed her, thermal blocked by wet earth, and peeled off, its pilot blind to her pulse. She tore her sleeve, tying her thigh, blood soaking through, her burns a scream she couldn't voice. Marcus's voice crackled in her skull. A ghost of hope, the CIA closing on the cartel base she'd flagged. She'd escaped, killed 2, thought she'd outrun the shack, but Evelyn's shadow struck from the sky, political might dwarfing Pruitt's. Fists. Her leg pulsed, a jagged break, her body teetering, but her mind clung to Maya, to the fight, an ember in the dark. Evelyn paced her motel, her gin bottle dry, Grayson's text hitting. Drone got her, confirmed hit. She grinned, a twisted relief blind to Tasha's crawl, her vendetta a beast eating its own tail. Tasha lay in the ditch, her breath shallow, her leg afire, the wreckage a funeral pyre 50 yards off. She'd flipped the cartel, alerted her. Team thought she'd clawed freedom, only to crash on the edge of collapse, a drone's wrath her new cage. Sirens wailed, distant, maybe feds, maybe death, and she gripped the mud, her burns a testament, her spirit a flicker. She'd survived. Barely, but the cost was a body broken, a fight teetering, and a sister she'd die to save. Tasha Reynolds lay in a Mississippi ditch, her body a wreck of burns and blood, her leg a jagged ruin from the drone strike, bone-piercing skin under a soaked sleeve tourniquet. Mud caked her blistered face, her ribs ground with every breath, her swollen eye a slit of pain, but her mind burned, a steel trap plotting survival. The SUV wreckage smoked 50 yards off, a twisted pyre of metal and flame, the drone's hum fading into the night. Sirens wailed closer, red and blue slicing the dark, and she dragged herself toward a pine, her hands clawing roots, her thigh pulsing, a trail of blood marking her crawl. She'd escaped the cartel, killed 2, alerted Marcus, thought she'd outrun Evelyn's shadow, only to be slammed by a missile. Now she clung to life, a flicker in the abyss. A Fed truck roared up, tires chewing dirt, agents in tack gear spilling out, their shouts a blur as they spotted her. "Reynolds, hold on!" Marcus barked, his scalp gash scabbed, his Glock holstered as he knelt, lifting her onto a stretcher. Her vision swam, her ribs shrieking, but she rasped, "Cartel base, Mississippi, flagged it, stings blown." He nodded, his face grim, barking orders as medics swarmed, IVs piercing her arm, bandages wrapping her legs break. The truck peeled off, bouncing over ruts, her burns stinging under gauze, the sting a distant dream now. Her team gutted, but Pruitt and Voss were jailed, the tide hers if she could hold it. She blacked out, the jolt of morphine a cold wave. Maya's face her anchor. She woke in a Memphis hospital, sterile white walls glaring, her leg in a cast, her burns slathered in cream, a monitor beeping her pulse. Marcus loomed, his buzz cut, sharp, his voice low. "You're a damn ghost, Tasha. Cartel's base is raided, feds nabbed 10 thanks to you. Pruitt and Voss are locked, trials set. We've got more." He slid a tablet over, hacked emails from Senator Grayson to Evelyn, greenlighting the drone strike, branding her a national threat. Tasha's chest flared, not from pain but fury, her swollen eye narrowing. "She's got pull, political pull, expose him." Marcus grinned, tapping the screen. "Live TV tonight. You're cleared. Hero status. Heal up." By dusk, Tasha sat, propped in bed, her cast a weight, her burns itching, the TV flickering as Marcus patched her into a news feed. Lila Hayes, the buzz-cut reporter, stood on Memphis streets, her voice sharp. "Breaking now, CIA agent Tasha Reynolds, framed by cops, bombed by a cartel and struck by a senator's drone. All tied to Evelyn Carter's racist call. Here's the proof." The screen flashed Grayson's emails, his silver hair damning him, Pruitt's recording booming, X erupting with Tasha fights back. Protesters swarmed Grayson's mansion 30 miles off, their chants a roar, "Lock him up!" Tasha's lips twitched, a grim satisfaction cutting her haze. The senator was arrested, cuffed on live TV, his scotch glass still in hand, the reckoning hers. Evelyn Carter watched it collapse from her motel dive, her gin bottle dry, the TV blaring Lila's scoop. Her platinum bob trembled, her pulse a jackhammer as Grayson's cuffs flashed, her name a curse across screens. "No, no, this can't be," she hissed, hurling the remote plastic shattering against peeling paint. Her burner buzzed, Jimmy Ray's text. "You're screwed, lady. She's winning." Panic clawed her chest, her vendetta a beast turning on her, and she grabbed a bag, stuffing cash and clothes, her motel a trap closing fast. She bolted to her SUV, tires squealing, a fugitive now, but her hate burned hotter, a plan festering. Tasha wouldn't win, not yet. Back at the hospital, Tasha sipped water, her ribs a dull ache, her cast a prison, thinking she'd flipped it. The senator down. Pruitt and Voss caged, the sting salvaged. Marcus nodded, his voice steady. "Feds have Evelyn's trail, she's running. You're safe here, armed guard." She exhaled, her burns stinging, the tide hers, the reckoning begun. Then the night shattered. A mob surged, 40 strong, hoodies and torches flooding the lot, their chants a guttural howl. "Kill the Fed!" Evelyn, parked a mile off, grinned through binoculars, her call to Jimmy Ray's crew a final lash, X's lies still fueling their rage. "End her," she'd hissed, and they obeyed, a swarm of hate crashing the hospital's glass doors. Tasha jolted upright, her cast thumping, her burns flaring as alarms blared, nurses screaming down halls. Marcus drew his Glock, barking into a radio, "Breach! Now!" But the mob stormed in, boots stomping, a crowbar smashing a guard's skull, blood spraying tile. Tasha ripped her IV, her ribs grinding, and rolled off the bed, her good hand snagging a scalpel from a tray, her cast a club. "Get out!" Marcus yelled, firing into the crowd, 3 dropping with wet thuds, but they surged. A torch swinging, flames licking her bed, smoke choking her lungs. A hulking thug loomed, his fist cracking her jaw, stars bursting, and she slashed, the scalpel slicing his throat, blood gushing as he fell. The mob pressed, a dozen piling on, boots kicking her cast, her legs snapping anew, her ribs splintering, a scream tearing free. Marcus tackled 2, his Glock barking, but a pipe cracked his skull, dropping him cold, blood pooling. Tasha swung her cast, smashing a nose, cartilage crunching, but a fist slammed her burns, her vision blurring, the scalpel skittering away. They dragged her, her cast scraping tile, her ribs a bellows, torches flaring as they chanted, "Die, Fed!" Security rushed in, batons swinging, 6 mobbers down, but the rest swarmed, a tide of hate drowning her fight. A thug loomed, his boot stomping her chest, ribs cracking, and she gasped, blood frothing her lips, her world fading. Evelyn watched from her SUV, her grin feral, the hospital's chaos a symphony, her vendetta alive despite Grayson's fall. "Got her," she muttered, peeling off, blind to Tasha's pulse, her hate a beast unrepentant. Tasha lay sprawled, her cast shattered, her burns afire, security wrestling the mob back, medics swarming as she slipped under, her breath a rattle. Marcus out cold beside her. She'd exposed Grayson, won the streets, thought the reckoning was hers, only to be crushed by Evelyn's final lash, a mob's fury, her new grave. The hospital stank of smoke and blood, her body broken, her spirit teetering, the edge of collapse a breath away. Tasha Reynolds slumped in a wheelchair in a Memphis federal courthouse, her body a battlefield of scars and casts, her leg shattered from the mob's boots, her ribs a jagged mess under a fresh blazer, her burns blistered under bandages, her swollen eye a slit, her face bruised purple from the hospital attack, but her jaw was iron, her spirit a ember refusing to die. The courtroom thrummed, a circus of reporters and protesters, the air thick with sweat and tension, as Judge Harold. Tate banged his gavel, his bald dome gleaming under fluorescent glare. Evelyn Carter sat across the aisle, her platinum bob stiff, her pastel blouse crisp, her smug grin a mask hiding the fugitive tremor in her hands. Tasha gripped her chair, her burns stinging, ready to end this. Gregson, her CIA lawyer, stood, his wiry frame taut, his voice a blade. Your Honor, Tasha Reynolds, CIA operative, was beaten, framed, bombed and mobbed, all sparked by Evelyn Carter's racist 911 call. We've got Pruitt's confession, Grayson's emails, and her ties to the cartel and mob. She's a menace. He slammed a tablet down, Pruitt's slurs booming, Grayson's drone order flashing, X-posts linking Evelyn to Ricky's hacks. The prosecutor, a pinched 40-something, nodded, his comb-over limp. We concur, Your Honor. Carter's actions caused multiple deaths, federal obstruction. Gasps rippled, cameras whirred, and Evelyn's grin faltered, her knuckles whitening. On her purse. Tasha took the stand, her wheelchair creaking, her voice a rasp cutting the chaos. I'm Tasha Reynolds, CIA, undercover on a trafficking sting. Carter called cops on me at a gas station, lied I was a thug. Pruitt and Voss beat me, framed me, sent a gang, a mob. She leaked my mission, got my team killed, my sister maimed. I've got scars, proof and truth. She lifted her blazer, burns and bruises bared, the gallery gasping, Judge Tate's eyes narrowing. Then the bomb dropped. I'm no civilian. I'm a federal agent, and she nearly sank a national op. The courtroom froze, Evelyn's jaw slack, reporters scrambling. The CIA reveal a thunderclap flipping her tail. Evelyn's lawyer, a slick 50-year-old with a tan, leapt up, his voice shrill. Objection! This is theater. No proof she's... CIA. Gregson slid her badge across, holographic seal glinting, serial number verified, and Tate banged his gavel. Overruled. Sit down. The gallery erupted, shouts of justice, clashing with liar, as Evelyn's smugness dissolved, her eyes darting, her vendetta exposed. Pruitt and Voss, cuffed in the dock, glared, their orange jumpsuits stark, but Tasha's reveal gutted them, their frame-up a house of cards. Judge Tate leaned forward, his voice gravel. Mrs. Carter, your turn. Explain. Evelyn stood, her hands trembling, her tone a quaver. I thought she was dangerous, Your Honor. I was scared, protecting my community. Tasha's chest flared, her ribs aching, her voice cutting in. Scared of me buying gas? You saw black and called 911, then bombed my car, mobbed my bed. That's hate, not fear. Evelyn flinched, her lawyer hissing, Quiet! But the gallery roared, Tate's gavel pounding. Enough! Evidence is clear, Mrs. Carter. You're remanded. Trial in 6 weeks. Cuffs clicked. Evelyn's wrists bound, her pastel blouse wrinkling as marshals dragged her out, her grin gone, her eyes wild. Tasha exhaled, her burns itching, the tide hers, the courtroom hers, Pruitt and Voss smirking from their cage, thinking it was over. It wasn't. Evelyn hit a holding cell, her bob quivering, her mind racing, but Pruitt, in his jail block 10 miles off, had one last play. He leaned into a guard, a stocky 30-something named Higgs, slipping him a burner and $200 from a stash. Shank the Fed, mid-trial. She's weak. Make it stick. Higgs grinned, his teeth crooked, pocketing the cash. Done. Boss. Pruitt's buzz cut gleamed, his gut jiggling as he laughed, his vendetta alive despite cuffs. Evelyn's fall a spark he'd fan. Tasha wheeled back to holding, her cast thumping, didn't hear it, her ribs a dull roar. Gregson whispering, We've got her, Tasha, rest. She nodded, her burns stinging, thinking she'd won, the chaos tamed. The trial paused for recess. Tasha parked in a courthouse hall, her wheelchair creaking, a marshal chatting nearby, his radio buzzing. She sipped water, her throat raw. Myers. Recovery a light in her haze, the sting's remnants in Fed hands. Then Higgs struck, his boots silent, his shiv a glint from his sleeve, Pruitt's order a pulse in his skull. He lunged, the blade arcing for her neck, but Tasha's training snapped, her good hand yanking his wrist, twisting, the shiv clattering as she swung her cast, cracking his knee, bones splintering. He howled, collapsing, blood pooling, and she grabbed the shiv, her ribs shrieking, her burns afire as she stabbed his thigh, pinning him down. Marshals swarmed, guns drawn, shouts echoing, Drop it! Tasha tossed the shiv, her hands up, her voice a rasp. He's Pruitt's, tried to kill me. Higgs writhed, his knee a ruin, his curses wet as marshals cuffed him, dragging him, off blood-streaking tile. Tasha slumped, her cast cracked, her ribs splitting, blood trickling from her nose, her vision blurring. Gregson rushed in, his face pale. "Tasha, you okay?" She nodded barely, her burns searing. The wheelchair. A cage. Evelyn smirked from her cell, news of the shank filtering in, her vendetta a ghost Pruitt fed, blind to Tasha's grip on life. The courtroom buzzed, reporters scrambling, the chaos a storm she'd weathered but not without cost. Medics hauled Tasha to a stretcher, her leg a dead weight, her ribs a bellows, blood frothing as she gasped. "Pruitt's reach, jail hit." Gregson nodded, his voice tight. "We'll nail him, Tasha, hang on." She blacked out, the stretcher rolling, the courthouse a blur, her burns a testament, her spirit teetering. She'd flipped it, revealed her CIA steel, crushed Evelyn's stand, thought the reckoning was hers, only to bleed under Pruitt's last lash, a shiv in the chaos. The hospital loomed, her pulse a thread, Maya's face her lifeline, the tide hers but slipping, the fight a breath from collapse. Tasha Reynolds lay on a gurney in a Memphis hospital corridor, her body a tapestry of agony, her leg in a fresh cast from the mob's boots, her ribs splintered anew from Higgs's shank attempt. Blood crusted her nose, her burns blistered under. Bandages, her swollen eye a slit of fire, but her pulse thrummed a stubborn thread in the chaos. Medics rushed her to surgery, the scalpel wound in her thigh, gushing, her blazer shredded, her wheelchair abandoned in the courthouse hall. The ceiling blurred, fluorescent lights streaking as morphine dulled the edges, Maya's face her anchor, Pruitt's smirk her fuel. She'd flipped the courtroom, bared her CIA soul, thought Evelyn was caged, only to bleed under Pruitt's last lash. Now she'd fight to breathe, to finish it. The OR stank of antiseptic, surgeons barking orders, her leg a mangled puzzle they stitched, her ribs taped tight, blood transfusions pumping life back. She woke hours later, groggy, her cast a weight, her burns itching under cream, a monitor beeping her survival. Marcus loomed, his scalp gash scabbed, his voice a growl. "Tasha, you're steel. Higgs confessed, Pruitt's orders. Feds have it, trials live tomorrow, video feed. You're clear." She nodded, her throat raw, her ribs a dull roar. "Evelyn?" Marcus's jaw tightened. "Cuffed, facing 20 years. You nailed her." Tasha's lips twitched, a grim flicker, the reckoning hers, the tide hers, if she could hold it. By dawn, Tasha sat propped in a hospital bed, her cast thumping, her burns stinging. A laptop streaming the Memphis federal courthouse. Judge Harold Tate's bald dome gleamed, his gavel a thunderclap as Evelyn stood, her platinum bob quivering, her pastel blouse rumpled, cuffs glinting on her wrists. Gregson, via video, laid it bare, his voice a blade. Evelyn Carter sparked. This with a racist call. Escalated to bombs, mobs, a drone strike, and a jail hit. Pruitt and Voss, her tools are guilty, but she's the root. Multiple felonies, lives lost. The prosecutor nodded, his comb-over limp. "We seek maximum, Your Honor. Conspiracy, murder, obstruction." The gallery hummed. Cameras whirred. Evelyn's smug mask gone, her eyes darting, a trapped animal. Evelyn's lawyer, slick and tanned, stood, his tone desperate. "Mrs. Carter acted in fear, not malice. No direct deaths, Your Honor." Tasha's video feed crackled, her rasp cutting. Through her burns bared. Fear. "She bombed my car, mobbed my bed, leaked my mission. My sister's maimed, my team's dead, that's hate." The gallery gasped. Judge Tate's eyes narrowed, and Evelyn flinched, her lawyer sinking. Tate leaned forward, his voice, "Gravel. Mrs. Carter, evidence buries you. Guilty, conspiracy to murder, 20 years. Pruitt and Voss, life, no parole." The gavel slammed, cuffs tightened, Evelyn's bob quivering as marshals hauled her out, her sentence a tomb sealing shut. Tasha exhaled, her ribs aching, her burns itching, the laptop dimming as Marcus grinned. "You did it, Tasha. They're gone." She nodded, her cast a prison, Maya's recovery a light, the trafficking sting a fed win, her fight a scar etched deep. Pruitt and Voss slumped in their dock, orange stark, their smirks dust. Higgs's confession a noose. Evelyn hit a cell, her pastel blouse a rag, her vendetta a ghost, 20 years her cage. Tasha closed her eyes, the tide hers, the reckoning complete, or so it seemed. The hospital hummed, her guard chatting outside, her body a wreck but her spirit clawing back. Then the world flipped. A roar split the air, a fireball tearing through the courthouse steps, brick and glass raining. The blast's heat, a wave felt 10 miles off. Tasha jolted, her cast thumping, her burns flaring as alarms blared, nurses screaming down halls. The TV flickered, a news chopper's feed showing chaos, the courthouse a crater, flames licking marble, bodies sprawled, Pruitt and Voss's jail. Van a molten wreck. The trafficking ring, enraged by Tasha's sting, had struck, a car bomb rigged with C4, their final lash from Juarez. Salazar, his wiry frame tense, had ordered it, his voice a hiss over a burner. Bury them all, she. Cost us everything. The gallery was ash. Judge Tate's gavel silenced, marshals charred, and Evelyn, cuffed in a van, saw her chance. The blast shredded her transport, metal twisting, her marshal's skull pulped against the dash, blood spraying her blouse. She crawled free, her wrists raw, her bob singed. The chaos acloak as sirens wailed, feds scrambling. She bolted, her heels snapping, her cash-stuffed purse clutched, a ghost in the smoke. A pickup screeched up, Jimmy Ray's last loyal thug, his swastika tat glinting, and she leapt in, tires chewing gravel, her grin feral. She's not done, she hissed, her vendetta alive, 20 years dodged, Tasha her prey. The news screamed. Bombing kills dozens, suspects flee. Pruitt and Voss confirmed dead. Their orange husks fused to the van, a twisted justice. Tasha watched it unfold, her laptop glowing, her ribs a bellows, her burns afire as Marcus cursed, his Glock drawn. Cartel hit Tasha. Evelyn's gone, slipped the net. She gripped the bed, her cast cracking plaster, her voice a rasp. She'll come for me. Marcus nodded, his face grim. Feds are hunting, stings a win, but you're out, retire, heal. She shook her head, her burns stinging, Maya's face her shield. Not till she's down. The hospital stank of bleach and fear, her guard doubling, but Evelyn's taunt echoed from X, a burner post. I'll bury you yet. Tasha's chest heaved, the courtroom win a memory, the bombing a gut punch, her fight teetering. She retired. That week, her CIA badge surrendered. Her leg a limp, her burns a map of war, the sting's success a Fed footnote. Maya met her at discharge, her arm scarred but healing, her pigtails back, her voice a whisper. Tash, we're alive. Tasha hugged her, ribs grinding, tears stinging her swollen eye. The hospital lot a blur of cop cars and news vans. They drove to a quiet suburb, a rented bungalow. Her cast a thud, her burns a constant ache, Evelyn's ghost a shadow she couldn't shake. The feds raided Juarez, Salazar nabbed, the ring gutted but Evelyn vanished, her vendetta a live wire, her escape a twist Tasha hadn't seen. Evelyn holed up in a rural shack, her bob dyed brown, her cash dwindling, Jimmy Ray's thug her shield. She scrolled X, her burner buzzing, her grin a slash as she typed, Tasha's not safe. Her hate burned, 20 years dodged, Pruitt and Voss ash, the bombing her lifeline. Tasha sat on her porch, her cast propped, her burns scabbing, a Glock on her lap, Maya inside baking, the air thick with July heat. She'd won the court, crushed the cops, thought the tide was hers, only to face Evelyn's reversal, a fugitive's, vow her new cage. The news droned, Memphis mourns, hunt intensifies, but Tasha's eyes scanned the trees, her ribs a reminder, her spirit scarred but alive. Tasha Reynolds's harrowing journey in White Karen calls racist cops on black woman regret in court. When she reveals she's a CIA agent, unearths raw truths about prejudice, resilience, and justice. The first lesson screams loud. A single racist act, like Evelyn Carter's 911 call, can ignite a firestorm of violence and betrayal, exposing how deep bias runs in systems meant to protect. Tasha's beatings, bombings, and mob attacks reveal that racism isn't just personal. It's a machine, fueled by power and fear, crushing lives in its gears. Evelyn's escalation from a paranoid call to a drone strike shows how unchecked hate festers. turning a petty grudge into a war. Yet, Tasha's unbreakable spirit teaches us that resilience can defy even the darkest odds. She flipped every trap, jail, cartel, courtroom, proving courage and cunning can claw back justice even when the deck's stacked. Her CIA reveal flipped Evelyn's narrative, a stark reminder that truth can shatter lies, but only if you fight for it. The bombing twist and Evelyn's escape hammer home a grim reality. Justice isn't final, and hate doesn't die easy. Tasha's scars, physical and emotional, underscore the cost of standing up, a price too many pay in silence. The story begs us to look inward. How do we challenge the Evelyns in our world, the quiet biases that spark chaos? Comment number 1 if you think one voice can shift the tide, hit like if Tasha's fight inspires you, and subscribe plus share to keep this conversation alive. Thanks for riding this roller coaster with us. Here's to a future where justice isn't a battlefield, but a right for all.